And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks so much for being with us. Let's move on to some more of these top headlines here. We're going to focus our efforts now there in New York City. Well, this is what we know. Let's follow up on a story we brought you earlier this week. New York City Mayor Eric Adams arrived today at federal court in Manhattan to surrender to authorities after federal prosecutors announced a 5-count indictment on fraud, bribery, and corruption charges. He pleaded not guilty today. Fox News correspondent C.B. Cotton with more.
Eric Adams has become the first sitting mayor of New York City to be arraigned on criminal charges. Adams arriving here at the courthouse earlier today with a massive media presence looking on. Prosecutors say for years he traded favors with foreign countries, including Turkey, in exchange for political influence. The mayor pleaded not guilty to all 5 counts, and his legal team says the accusations are political.
You can almost picture them trying to cobble this together and try to tell a story so that they could say corruption at this press conference. And, you know, they do that to tarnish him in your eyes.
Prosecutors are accusing Adams of bribery, wire fraud, and seeking illegal campaign donations, alleging he accepted free or heavily discounted overseas trips valued at more than $100,000. Adams says that's not true, but at City Hall, calls for his resignation are growing louder.
I hope that he will do the right thing for the city and the right thing for New Yorkers and step down.
Eric Adams is a disgraceful human being and a criminal, and if he loved New York City, he would resign.
But if Adams does not step down, the focus would turn to New York Governor Kathy Hochul, a political ally who has the power to remove him from office. She says she's reviewing the charges, but won't be rushed into a decision.
I will be deliberative, I'll be thoughtful, but we're going to come to the right resolution on what to do in this moment.
The mayor is facing up to 45 years in prison if convicted on all the counts. In New York, C.B. Cotton, Fox News.
CB, thanks so much. According to Politico, on the Governor Hochul front here, Politico reports that lawyers in Hochul's office internally discuss the legal and constitutional framework for removing an elected official. So it seems like those discussions are being had if Adams does not resign. Well, Adams and his lawyer spoke briefly outside the courthouse today after this arraignment. Let's listen.
Good afternoon. The mayor entered a plea of not guilty. He's innocent. Second thing that happened in court today is that we let the court know that next week we'll be filing a motion to dismiss. We expect these charges to be dismissed. You all remember the Brian Benjamin case. Similar shaky theory. That case was dismissed. Same prosecutors, same theory. But the spectacle of this so exciting to them that they wanted to bring another one of these cases. This case isn't even a real case. This is the airline upgrade corruption case. The third thing we said is that we demand that they bring exculpatory information and the discovery to court on Wednesday. As you know from looking at the indictment and from what happened in court, there are no emails, text messages, or any corroboration whatsoever that the mayor knew about anything having to do with these campaign donations. The entire body of evidence is one staffer that says there was a conversation. What you have not learned is that that staffer has lied, and the government is in possession of that lie. When that staffer was first interviewed, that staffer said that Mayor Adams knew nothing about this, he was not involved in this, and that he is innocent. They have that information. They have not turned that over to us. They have not turned that over to you. And so it sort of does not surprise us that they did not answer any questions at that press conference, their little press conference the other day. They have no answer for any of these questions. And they didn't want to stick around from questions either. Questions like, why are they doing this? Why are they targeting him? The questions you all started to ask as they were leaving. They normally answer questions. They didn't want to stay for questions in this case. And they left, and they made this assertion, or this, they implied that somehow he's disappointing people, or that people ought to be disappointed in him. It's not him doing this. It's the other government that everybody should be disappointed in, bringing this case against the sitting mayor. I don't have anything further today, and thank you all.
If Hochul calls on you to resign, will you? Do you take free hotel rooms?
All right, so there you were listening to Mayor Eric Adams' attorney there outside the federal courthouse in Manhattan. Let's bring into the conversation someone who's been following this story ever since it broke. That's, of course, our friend there, Mike Sisak at the Associated Press. He joins me. Mike, thanks for being with us here. I know you're extremely slammed with this story. Let's talk about the indictment first. There were so many elements and pieces of it that, you know, frankly, a lot of people were making fun of on social media that all this seemingly was done out in the open here. What struck out to you in the indictment specifically about the nature of the alleged crimes, Mike?
Yeah, I think the first thing is how far back it reaches in Eric Adams' career. You know, Adams was a police officer, police captain. He then moved into politics and was, before becoming mayor, borough president in Brooklyn. In New York City, each borough has a president that is sort of the unofficial or official, I guess, leader of the borough, although it's a little bit wonky in structure. And in about 2015, according to prosecutors, he made these connections with a Turkish official and then later on Turkish business people, Turkish Airlines personnel, and started receiving what prosecutors say were these gifts, right? So looking back, this was, you know, 9, almost 10 years ago. And then ultimately he becomes mayor he's elected in 21, becomes mayor in 22. And that's when prosecutors allege he was repaying these favors, these alleged favors that he was helping, you know, usher in the consulate through the fire inspection process. So that was something that stood out. And as you said, out in the open, in the sense that we knew Eric Adams liked to travel. The big question was who was paying for that travel. He did not answer that when asked repeatedly by reporters. And we also knew that this investigation had been going on for some time, months and months. You know, it was last year that his phones were taken by federal agents. Other people in his inner circle had been searched and subpoenaed as well.
So, Mike, I wanted to ask, too, though, what do you make, though, of Adams's kind of temperament and posture about how he's been going through all of this? I mean, on Thursday night, of course, so many reporters were outside Gracie Mansion there, and a lot of his longtime advisors, longtime confidants and friends, they were with him that night. And then, of course, the indictment was unsealed the next day, the arraignment today here. What do you make of his posture throughout this? His spirit seems like it's high. He's remaining defiant. He said he's not going anywhere. He said he still has work to do as mayor of New York City, though a lot of his Democratic colleagues and officials, not only in City Hall, not only in Albany, not only on Capitol Hill, they're calling for him to resign. Is he going to, you think?
So far, he says he is not going to resign. He has remained defiant, might be the word, or steadfast, maintaining his innocence today, telling the judge, I am not guilty. And as you said, the sequence of events, you know, it goes back months, it goes back years, potentially, in terms of the allegations. But really, this week is where it all came together. Tuesday is when the indictment was returned, according to the court docket. Wednesday is when it was reported, when we reported it, the New York Times, others, that created that sort of groundswell of activity around Gracie Mansion. And then Thursday morning, there was an FBI search at Gracie Mansion where they were looking for more material, electronics. And then he was in court today. So really kind of a whirlwind. And at the same time, like you said, there were people asking for him to resign. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, people that may be challenging him in next year's primary, other city officials. And yet there have been others who have either reserved judgment or not come out and said that he should resign. Those including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and also the governor, although her statement could be read potentially as, you know, really putting the onus on Adams to consider his options and consider his future. Yeah. But as we saw today from him and from his lawyer and how they are going about attacking this case, it does seem you know, in other political scandals and other situations, you see a very quick move, right? For somebody to exit. Here, he seems to be confident that he will be acquitted, that this case will go away, and that he will be absolved of these allegations. And unless something changes, it seems like that's going to be his posture going forward.
Okay, yeah, I was just putting up this tweet because on Capitol Hill, we got the AOC call for him to resign. Just today, Jerry Nadler is also calling on him to resign there. He says there are questions of whether the mayor can continue to effectively lead our city as mayor at this time. My belief is that the mayor has lost the ability to effectively lead the city of New York, and therefore he must resign. So say he does resign, Mike. What does that succession look like? Who's waiting in the wings, so to speak? Who will lead the Big Apple? Because it's not just who's going to be mayor if Adams goes. It's also all of these other people in Adams's orbit that have been implicated in some way, that have kind of fallen under the spell of this scandal, from the NYPD to the New York City Public Schools and elsewhere here. How does New York City, how does City Hall get rid of the stench of this scandal? Or is this just the beginning of this story?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, you know, to remind viewers, before this indictment, we had those searches in the last few weeks in various investigations swirling around the city, right? You had the police commissioner resign. You had the school's chancellor say he was retiring at the end of the year. You've had other officials who've been suggested as being targets, or at least in the web of this search in some capacity. And moving forward, just like with a presidential election, a lot of that machinery in city government, it continues regardless of who the mayor is. You know, the trash still gets picked up, but people in these high positions will change. If Adams were to step aside or be removed, immediately the public advocate, Jumaane Williams, would become the mayor. And then there would be an election about 3 months after that. And there are people lined up for a Democratic Party primary, which would take place next year if Adams were not to leave office, earlier than the end of his term. He has said he wants to run for re-election. Mayors in New York City can have 2 consecutive 4-year terms. But there is going to be that jockeying, right? So the immediate effect would be the public advocate takes over, and then there would be presumably some of those folks who are already intending to run or running, throwing their hats in the ring. We've also heard from potentially former Governor Andrew Cuomo. There's speculation that he may want to run for office. That may be a few moves ahead and getting a lot of speculation as opposed to, things that are rooted in announcements and that sort of thing. But that is what I think also has to be in the calculation and the consideration, whether you're the governor thinking about this, or Adams, or any of these people who may be interested in this job. Because, as you said, there is this wave of activity around City Hall. And, do you want to get involved in that? Do you want to, how do the dominoes kind of fall? I guess there's some of the questions that people may be considering.
Yeah, those are so good with questions. Mike, lastly, though, where does this go from here? I know this is very fast moving. Where does your reporting take you next? And what conditions, if any, does Adams now have on him that he has been arraigned? I mean, he's still the mayor of New York City. He's got to do his day-to-day job, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's the mayor. He was released after his not guilty plea at his arraignment today. He will be back in court next week on Wednesday for a conference with the judge who is basically taking over the case at this point. He appeared before a magistrate judge today. He'll appear for a conference in front of this other judge who will preside over a trial if that happens. We heard in the clip that his lawyer is going to ask that judge to dismiss the charges. They're filing a motion to dismiss. If that happens, the case is over. If it is denied, then the case moves on with an exchange of evidence, discovery, the normal things that happen in a pretrial situation. At the same time, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams in Manhattan has said this is not over, that they are continuing to investigate, and that if people were involved in any wrongdoing, they could be charged. And he encouraged people who may know something or may have been involved in criminal activity to come forward, as he said in his statement yesterday, before it's too late. So we expect to see, at the very least, court action involving Eric Adams, and very likely other people who are in city government or in that orbit. The indictment, 57 pages against Adams, mentions a host of other people. Whether those people are charged or whether they're witnesses in a case against him, that all remains to be seen. But it's going to be busy days at the courthouse in an already busy year in the court system in New York City and in New York State.
Mike Sisak, we can't thank you enough. I mean, thinking of what U.S. Attorney Damian Williams there for the Southern District has done, not in the last year, but just take the last 6 months, the Sam Bankman-Fried conviction, the Sean Diddy Combs indictment, this indictment, the Bob Menendez indictment and conviction here. He has a lot on his resume after the last 6 months here, rooting out public corruption, or at least trying to here. So final thoughts, Mike. Like I said, you know, your reporting is going to take you in a lot of different directions. Can we anticipate, though, any movements, any developments into the weekend now, or is there kind of a lull in this story?
We hope that we could put our phones away and relax for a little bit, but never say never. You know, we are gearing up for that court appearance next week. And there have even been searches just today. A chief advisor to Eric Adams was stopped at Kennedy Airport on her way back from Japan.
Wow.
The district attorney's office in Manhattan and also Southern District, so the federal prosecutors, those folks seized her phones. So this all continues. Yeah. And to your point about Damian Williams, he has been doing a lot in the last 6 months in his term so far, which goes back, I think, to 2022. Eric Adams has said, you know, he's being targeted. But Damian Williams can very much point to those other prosecutions and the breadth of people that have been defendants in cases brought by him. Bob Menendez, you mentioned, as a possible defense to that. You know, this is a Democratic appointee, and Mayor Adams is a Democrat. So some of that political discussion we probably will be having into the weekend as well. But that's just one bit of food for thought as this goes on.
Yeah, that could be a rejoinder for Williams. Mike Sisak, thanks so much. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, you as well. Hope it stays quiet.
Thank you.